time to cap it off. It is our last underground metal deep dive of 2022, and we're going to kick things off with Gate of Mind and The Beast Inside. Fall Song EP here. Kind of a groove metal-y type deal. A little death metal, a little hardcore. Some kind of blackened guitar lines in there too. This guy's out of France. And as you can hear, shit's a jam. This is one that I have listened to all the way through, and this is probably my favorite song. This opener here. Just great bang your head kind of music. Production's pretty solid. Everything just kind of comes together. So I think for what it is, it's really cool stuff. Cover's decent. Could be a little better. Good little moments in the song like that too. Got some soloing too. And it kind of continues on in that way too. Sort of a monomarth riff kicking this one off. I like these big sustained dramatic guitar melodies too. But yeah, as far as the texturing goes, like there's actually a lot going on, even though it's seemingly kind of simplistic headbanging music. There's some solid dynamics going on too. The vocals, maybe, especially those lower, kind of like the kind of slightly yowly ones, I'll say the yarly ones. Those could use a little work, but other than that, really awesome stuff. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, great chugs. Like the guitar effects here, a little more kind of psychedelic sounding solo. Just really satisfying. 4 tracks. Highly recommended. And as always, this is just meant to give you a little taste so that you go check it out yourself. So again, that is Gate of Mind with The Beast Inside. Then we have Digital Bath with 01. I assume that name is a reference to the Deftones song, but it could not be. Couldn't sound any more different though. As you can hear, we've got some like avant-garde, crazy saxophone wailing. Reminds me of that scene from Lost Highway, where he's just wailing away, dealing with his impotence. Say Birmingham, UK group. Death metal, as you can tell. Also groove metal and progressive metal in the tags. I want more of that saxophone. Kind of a cool cover too. Almost looks like AI generated. Makes me curious if it is. Definitely more on the brutal side of things. Ooh, a little cymbal strike. That's always such a simple but effective old trope. Oh, I haven't heard this one yet. Alright, going for those more sort of like avant-garde, weird, clean vocals. That sounded a little rough, which can work. But I will say they sound a little like too loud, a little too forward in the mix. So that's making them sound a little bit more brash. Yeah, I feel like the mixing's kind of off on it. There's something a little off on those vocals. So toy with that some more. Ooh. This is a very 2000s nu metal riff here. It's kind of fun, actually. Yeah, that takes me back. There's some nostalgia in that riff. Yeah, kind of interesting mix of styles here. Like, I'm not even fully sure what to call it. At first I was like, okay, it's just death metal. But no, I hear those groove metal elements. And then it does have that kind of like wonky, sort of all over the place, nu metal element to it. Some kind of Meshuggah-y riffs here too. It cleans a little bit better in this section. You can hear the progressive metal tag here too. Yeah, seems interesting. Very sort of unique, off the wall. So yeah, be sure to give them a listen. That is Digital Bath with 01. Then we have T.O.M.B with Terror Winds out of Pennsylvania. Ooh. There's that cardboard box blast beats. Very under the sign of hell. Kind of a Inquisition-y sort of guitar sound too. Cool band photo. Little things popping out. Interesting. Very eerie. There's just something very like off in the right way. It's got this sort of like uncanny nightmare vibe to it. Yeah, definitely a focus on this sort of like restlessness. I dig. Interesting. Lots of different tags for this one too. Check out the opener here. Definitely take their time with the compositions. Mixing the eerie ambience with the more aggressive stuff. A little bit of Bluthaus Nord and Deathspell Omega. But with that like really second wave flair to the production. So very raw. But raw with purpose. Another good example I think of like how you can capture that sound without like losing any of your instruments in the process or ruining the listening experience. This is more of a traditional kind of black metal march here. I do like that that sound of that bass kick. It's just so ugly. It's just wrong. Yeah, very, very gross and grimy. I dig it. So yeah, that is T.O.M.B with Terror Winds. Then we have Olamot with Realms out of Italy. Or at least Lethal Scissors, which I assume is the label, is out of Italy. Going more death metal here again. Another 4-song EP. Mathcore and Grindcore also in the tags. That's interesting. Raunchy. Definitely a more modern death metal sound on this one. This one came out in April, but better late than never. Huge atmosphere. Kind of that like symphonic death metal vibe, but the symphonic elements they aren't like front and center. But if you're listening with headphones, I'm pretty sure I'm picking up on some like very subtle symphonic elements. Bringing in those brutal pieces too. Yeah, there's some very subtle like, I don't know if it's synth or if it's actual strings. Oh yeah, here. Yeah, we got some like xylophone. I like that. Big fan of symphonic death metal, so a little deathcore sentiment in here too. Fitting cover, I would say. This sounds great. I'd definitely be interested to hear a full length from these guys. And jazzy Meshuggah solo. Yeah, I did good. Good pick so far already, again. You all send me some really awesome stuff that I would otherwise miss. Very ominous, just massive sounding stuff. I like these, there's these subtle, I don't know if you can hear them, but there's these subtle chorals. It's like, oh, 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 oh. It's great, I love that. Yeah, this sounds like a real banger. I dig. That's Olamot with Realms. Then we have Endless Loss with Bloodletting, Narcotic, Divination. This one out of Australia. Lots of death metal today. More of a scaled back, simplistic kind of cover. We like that here. Another one with kind of this spiraling kind of quality to it. Falling into the abyss kind of music. More blackened atmosphere too, I would say. Like the logo too. That's cool. A little bit of abyssal in there, a little portal. Kind of that sort of emphasizing the atmosphere again. And that weird kind of like, almost like insect-like guitar work. Man, great picks today, y'all. This one's from October. Appropriate, right before Halloween. This one would have been another scariest albums fodder. Got a more doomy head bob to this one. Little hints of like Primitive Man too. Oh, got a falsetto screech in here. Wasn't expecting that. That's more. Oh, bestial black metal is in the tags here. That's fair. Yeah, definitely very bestial. Very raw. Lots of ugly music today. I approve. Seems like we're not leaning into the more kind of like modern glossy stuff this time. It's always interesting to see which way things swing once I start digging into the requests. If you're curious how to, you just shoot them to the Metal Trenches email. Just make sure you give me a link for the Bandcamp. No guarantees, because I get so many requests, but hell yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, so far no duds. Not that there really have been in a long time, but like it's almost been I've liked each one better than the last. So that is Endless Loss with Bloodletting, Narcotic, Divination. Then we have Violent Answer with Self-Threat out of Poland. Okay, I spoke too soon. Going a little bit more modern, glossy with this one. Ooh, like that. This little little feedback blast. New hardcore. Oh, that's kind of fun. Fun little vocal hook there. I like this. And this one actually is December. I also approve the End t-shirts. Killer band. Says a lot. I don't get a lot of like metalcore stuff out of Poland either, so every now and then though, I can picture the album cover of another Polish metalcore band in my brain, but I can't think of their name right now. Yeah, definitely leaning into those kind of classic hardcore elements, sort of like Vein FM and Disasterpiece, that kind of stuff. Can't wait to hear that album next year. Getting pretty heavy too. Like, this is more the type of metalcore I used to listen to way back in the day, before Gent really took over. And there's still some like sufficient edge to the production too. Like even though it's much cleaner than those other bands we just listened to, it's still fucking gnarly. Oh yeah. This might be best of the month list worthy. And depending on which order I do the videos, you might have seen this on best of the month before you watch this video, but just know I'm sampling it before I made that video. But yeah, could very well make that. This sounds pretty sick. Sounds right up my alley. 30 PLN. 674 for 6 songs. A little high. A little high. Not to say the music isn't worth it, but like if you're an unknown, again. I like this guitar riff too. Yeah, this is really cool. Check that out. Violent Answer, Self-Threats. Then we have Baal with Nytelen, Post-Black from Hungary. Black Funeral Doom, Ambient Dungeon Synth Punk Psychedelic. On the label, NGCC Productions. Yeah, talk about now for something completely different. Just 2 songs on this one, but very long ones, so still almost 30 minutes. This one leaning a little bit more into that classic second wave sound. I dig. Ooh, I like this little synth here. It's very kind of like dark medieval times kind of vibes on that. Yeah, it's definitely got that sort of 90s flair. Oh, here's the doomier parts. And back into the blast beats, hell yeah. Classic church cover too, like the very kind of tree branch looking logo. It's always hard for me to weigh in on this kind of like second wave black metal stuff because I end up using the same like 10 words to describe it. This is different though. A little piano here. A little bit more of a modern vibe on this one. Definitely more, when I saw post-black metal, this is more what I think. That first song was just more kind of standard black metal. I like the vocals. Reminds me a little bit of Charlie Fell's vocals. A very raspy, almost phlegmy quality to it. Very haunting. It's kind of like tragic sadness to it. Nice chug on this part. Yeah, I dig that. When did this come out? Also December. Okay. Yeah, very, very kind of Lord Mantasy sounding vocals. We got a little spoken word here too. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Might have to... I really like this stomp part though. This is definitely my speed here. But yeah, that is Baal or Baal with Nytelen. Then we have At War With Ourselves with Disasterpiece. Not to be confused with the Slipknot song, I assume. Just a single. Band's out of Queens, New York. Love that bass rumble. Kind of progressive rock vibes. This definitely sounds like something that would have been on the radio like 2001. Ooh. Solid transition there. The production could be a little bit fuller, but overall this sounds pretty good. I really like that little kind of cyclical guitar tapping riff. Little Incubus in there. Just like definitely touches of that. Vocals are solid too. Got a good voice, you're hitting the notes, which I know that seems like bare minimum, but I hear a lot of bands that frankly cannot hit the notes that they shoot for. Yeah, it's kind of cool, you know? It takes me back to that time where my favorite bands were like Linkin Park, Incubus, Taproot, like that kind of stuff. So, yeah, cool stuff. At War With Ourselves with Disasterpiece. I'll be interested to hear more. We have Massa Nera with Derramar, Querer, Borrar out of New Jersey. Ambient intro. More sad music, looks like. Loud sounds from New Jersey. We dance to the beat of a lost future. How cheerful sounding. Cool cover. Like this very minimalist guitar. Kind of post-metal-y. Post-hardcore, definitely, with these vocals. So that can be in the tags. Emo-core, post-hardcore, yep. Genres I love. Not everyone's cup of tea on this channel, but I just think they're so packed with emotion. Yep. What can I say? This is music, it's hard to commentate over this because it's the type of stuff you just want to get caught up in. Just that very dreary, misery porn kind of music. Also, man, reminds me of back in the day even listening to stuff like Cursive. Like the older Cursive albums, like the Ugly Organ. Something about these jangly guitar riffs. Not so much the vocals. Simpler times. The obligatory spoken word elements too. Love the layers here with the guitars. The production's fantastic on this one. Like, it just feels like layers upon layers of guitar and ambience and just this kind of suffocating sadness. Yeah, that sounds... Oof. There's that vitriol, too. It's those moments where the rage seeps through the sorrow. Very cathartic. And then back to the sad boy stuff. Beautiful. I can't think of a better word than just beautiful, stunning. Adrift sounds like a great word, too. Yeah, digging this. Might have to spend more time with this one, too. Only $5, too, for this 12-track album as well. That's much more appropriate. So yeah, that is Massa Nera with Derramar, Querer, Borrar. Then we have Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean. I tried catching you, but you fell through me. This was a request I remember came through when I said any last-minute things people are really looking forward to in December. I listened to a little bit of this. Love this picture, by the way. Very unsettling. Love the cover, too. This, like, painted style. Kind of more doomy side of things. Sludgy, too. Right. What else we got here? I'm getting so sweaty right now. A little slow for my taste, but I like again, the ugliness of it. Good day for some ugly music, it seems. Yeah. Great vocals. Very just like like waves beating against a cliff or something. Rock face. Ooh. These little squelchy, again, insect-like sounding guitars there. That's great. Love little stuff like that. Simple but effective little touches. Lots of reverb here too. Reminds me a little bit of Primitive Man in that way. Could definitely see this sharing the stage with Primitive Man. Raunchy. Yeah, good stuff. And that's Chained to the Bottom of the Ocean with I Tried Catching You, but You Fell Through Me. Then we have Nyformat Family with, oh god, Vidmershiy Shmat and Obrij Split. Nyformat Family seems to be a label, I think. So these are the band names. Interesting cover. Another very minimalist one. It's Ukrainian label. This one came out in November. Just 2-track split, but I'm digging what I'm hearing. This track's called Deaf Void. Black metal with, again, those more like bestial death metal vocals. There's second wave sounding guitars. It's got some immediacy to it. Ooh. Snuck in this more kind of psychedelic sounding guitar. That's cool. That was almost like a Tool sounding riff. So yeah, so that's Vidmershiy Shmat, and then we have Obrij. Probably butchering these pronunciations. Sorry. I know very little about pronunciation in this part of the world. So this one a little bit more death metal. Very chuggy. Drums sound great. I love the pop of that snare. I'm mixing some doomier riffs in here too. Yeah, both really strong. Production sounds great on these. I'd be interested in hearing more. It's hard to take much from just one track from each of them, but strong tracks. Just that bellowing vocal too. Very, just like grab you by the throat kind of music. Awesome, yeah. I'd be interested to hear from both of these bands again. So, Vidmershiy Shmat and Obrij split via Nyformat Family. Then we have Skarntyde with Da Jeg Gret Ved Jordens Rune. Something like that. German band, but that is not German. That, I believe, is Norwegian, would be my best guess, but it could also be like Swedish or something. In the vein of second wave of Norway, so I'd assume that's Norwegian. Yeah, big day for raw, ugly, dreary music. Appropriate for these dark winter months. Interesting photo. They're on like an excavator. Don't see that every day. Just like a quarry. It's the album photo. A little 3-song EP here. Lots of EPs. Another one from November. Just rounding out the end of the year here. It's been an excellent year for music, y'all. I gotta say. And this may end up being the last video of the year. which seems appropriate because it is sort of like my favorite segment, even though it's not the audience's favorite segment. So to those of you, all of you watching right now, you're the real MVPs of this channel, doing the Lord's work, making sure these really underground artists get seen by somebody. A little slower track here. Head bobber here. There's a nice bass in here too. Black metal too often neglects the bass, but there's a nice little like almost kind of like atonal bass that you'd hear on something like Artificial Brain. These guys like to get a little crazy too with the instrumentation. Ooh. Solid stuff, y'all. Not a dud so far. Everything's been well above average. That's a little guitar. That bass again. That wow. Epic. I can hear like this soundscape coming through, or this landscape coming through in the tones of the music. But yeah, that is Skarntyde with Dajegret ved jordens Rune. Alright, next up we have Lugosi with Inconsolable. Out of Paris, France. Muddy math punk hardcore. Got that kind of noise rock element to it too. Very kind of like warm sound from the distortion. Very 90s. Ooh. Yeah, super 90s vibe on this. That rock and roll energy. Love the sound of the drums too. Nice pop to it. I think the lyrics are in French. Cool cover too. Yeah, I'm digging it. Something I could see playing alongside like Ken Mode. Less dark though. Production is fantastic. Really captured that kind of like intense but well captured sound. I love the drummers just like all over the kit too. Oh, we got some lyrics in English at least. A little bit of like Sonic Youth in there too, but again with that like hardcore influence. A little Fugazi. Yeah, this is a very kind of Fugazi sounding track. Love the riffs. Lots of cool little memorable picking parts. Ooh, that chunky bass. This is great. Really doing a lot here. Standout. And name your own price. Smart boys. So no excuse to not pick this one up. I think I'd highly recommend this. Another great batch. Yeah, just giving you a little taste there. Please do check out Lugosi with Inconsolable. Then we have Shards of Narsil with Atropos out of Seattle, Washington. Just a couple hours north of me. Husband-wife duo, if I recall from the email. Very progressive metal vibe so far. Yeah, husband was right there. Right there in the description. Interesting cover. Cool. Mixed vocals here. With those more kind of like symphonic metal vocals and the harsh vocals. Very full, kind of epic sound. Got kind of like a 2000s vibe to it too, which I kind of like. I've got major nostalgia for that. A little like dance beat on this one. It's kind of fun. Reminds me of something that like Spirit Box would do. Yeah, it's this back and forth of the vocals. It has a very, like, 2000s metal vibe. When, like, new metal was kind of taking over. But it's not new metal, but it just... something about that just reminds me of that era. Ooh. Sick riffs here, too. Yeah, I'd see this crew kind of going for that Spirit Box crowd, too, because, like, as far as the approach to the riffs and the female vocals, the husband and wife vibe, I mean, there's a lot of shared DNA here. This is a very Periphery riff. Really solid batch. Closing out the year on a high note. And Shards of Narsil, if you're watching, which you probably are since you reached out to me directly, thank you for doing so, because this is pretty wild. Only criticism, same one I give a lot. $3.99 for 5 songs from a complete unknown. I think that price tag's gonna scare some potential listeners off. So I would say, if you're willing to do it, name your own price. I know music is worth well more than that, but if you're trying to just grow at this point, you want to remove as many potential barriers to access as possible. But the music sounds really good. I'm interested to hear where y'all go from here. I dig it. Cool stuff. That is Shards of Narsil with Atropos. Then we have Valve returning with Thermoclines. They're French, so however you would pronounce that in French. Covered these guys before in the past. Had I known about this album, because it kind of like got ninja dropped, I didn't see anything for it back in November. I might have covered it more extensively. Because these guys I've compared kind of to the like Lord Mantis crowd, also stuff like LLNN, what's that other French kind of noisy band? It's on the tip of my tongue, maybe it'll come to me. And despite being 4 songs, they are on the longer side, so I would consider this to be more of a full length, really. This track is 12.5 minutes. But yeah, kind of like sludgy, noisy, blackened. Plebeian Grandstand. That was the other band I was thinking of. Fast but slow, high but low, dark but bright. Ooh, I didn't notice the little eyes in these columns. That's cool. Yeah, some post-metal in there too. This track's pretty hypnotic. Big build. Love the bass. Kind of a Deftones-y bass a little bit there. Then you've got the more gnarly vocals. Yeah, and then we get these kind of grindier, almost kind of mathcore sounding. Just like Zayo here. Yeah, stylistically, they kind of like get around. Ooh, nice little break there. That was fun. Love stuff like that. Yeah, this is a very kind of mathcore sounding track. Kind of convergy too. More great drum sound too. Bangers today, y'all. Tons of atmosphere. Yeah, this is easily something that probably could have made my November list. I feel like November was a little slower too, so I definitely would have had room. Yeah, great mix of atmosphere and aggression. Lots of different comparison points you could probably come up with here. Great pacing. That's a cool opening riff too. Yeah, I'm tempted to just sit and listen to this one, but yeah. Just giving you a taste. That is Valve with Thermoclines, something like that. Then we have Kryvoda with Kryvoda, Polish band, Carpathian death metal. So description: heavy and aggressive, interweave folk motifs and instrumentation. Yeah, this is more of a straight for the throat kind of metalcore approach here. It's an interesting synth. Reminds me a little bit of older Kalma. And there's the folk element. There was not enough folk metal this year either, so wish I had heard this one back when it came out in October. A couple of different bands I'm thinking of from the past with that melodic death metal sound mixed with the folk flutes and everything. With the Polish twist too, this could be like Witcher music. R.I.P. Witcher. Man. Talk about ruining a good thing. Yeah, I really like the flute. There's a band called like, is it like Svartblod or something like that? Has a similar sound to it. Pretty aggressive too, despite the folk leanings. Like that riff. Fits the artwork too. I think the one thing I'm hearing that could use some work is the vocals are pretty raw and not necessarily in the best way. I think they could be refined a bit more. But I'm loving the riffs, I'm loving the flutes. Production overall is decent. It's a little loudness wars. Maybe a little too much going on at once, but oh, this I like too. Got some strings, little fiddles. Building up into the war march. Ooh. Y'all, I love stuff like this, and there's just not enough of it anymore. There was a time where there was like, oof. I'm hoping 2023 is the year we get some big folk metal releases, because there were barely any in 2022. So yeah, this is dope. Definitely gonna want to recommend this to more people. Just under $10 US. Just a little steep again for 6 tracks. It's more than $1 a track, so again, I'd encourage y'all to consider lowering that threshold to just, you know, your focus right now should be on growing, not necessarily making money yet, which is always hard because, you know, the music's worth it, but you're just not going to find that many people willing to pay that price yet. So yeah, that is Kryvoda with Kryvoda. Next up, we have Buryfication with Leviathan. It's a Finnish band doing some globetrotting again. Another 4-song EP here, blackened death metal. Going for more of that raw, kind of bestial black metal kind of production. Yeah, definitely leaning into the blackened side of blackened death metal. Very evil and aggressive. Oh, there's that death metal too. Classic upside down cross too. These guys are making their place known within the genre. And those like just hailstorm, blizzard sounding tremolo lines from the guitars. With that like HM2 old school energy too. Such a classic sound. Aggressive as hell. That's the main phrase that keeps coming to mind. Crunchy. This one's a little bit more death metal. Like those little triplets. Yeah, just a rain of hellfire. What more can I say? I think these guys know the target they're shooting for, and they nailed it. Ooh, I like that. A little Inquisition-y there. Good pacing, too, for how abrasive it is. We got some soloing, too. Yeah, I'm digging what I'm hearing. There's definitely space in the scene for this. I know a bunch of people that'll eat this up. Yeah, good stuff. Buryfication, Leviathan. Name your own price, too. Alright, the return of Hammer of Dawn with Uzil. And yes, this is a Gears of War themed metal band featuring members of Aborted, Hideous Divinity, Alter Beast, and Decrepit Birth. Another album that, had I been aware of it, and it is an EP, probably would have gotten some coverage in my Best of September list. September was September was packed though, so I don't know if it would have made the list or not. That was like the craziest month of the year, I feel like. But I feel like you can hear all those influences from all those great bands. Love all those bands. All bands I've covered on the channel in the past. With maybe the exception of Decrepit Birth, but I've definitely covered the others. Yeah, kind of symphonic death metal. Very dramatic, very fitting to the Gears of War series. And as somebody who played a lot of Gears of War in college, because I think the first one came out like very tail end of high school. Or no, I think I was in college for the whole time actually, because I didn't get a 360 till I was living in the dorms. And so those first 3 games, I played the crap out of them. Both the co-op campaign, solo campaign, and multiplayer. Never forget the sound of the torque bow hitting. Chunk! Good times. Yeah, aside from like Halo 2 and 3, Gears was probably like my second most played game around that time, so this definitely, as somebody who loves symphonic death metal, melodic death metal, and Gears of War, this is perfect for someone like me. Those new Gears games just aren't doing it for me, unfortunately. I don't want to shoot robots. I want to shoot Locust. Yeah, sufficiently brutal. Very grand at the same time. Love all these Hammer of Dawns coming down from the sky. Such a cool weapon, too. The symphonic composition on here is on par, I'd say, with something like Flesh God Apocalypse in some areas. And thank you again to Hammer of Dawn for reaching out to me directly and giving me a download for this. I am honored. Especially, again, considering the pedigree of this band. I wish I had time to cover it in another thing, but it was just a bad time of year. I'm like done. This will probably be the last video of 2022. But I'm hoping to hear more from them in the future. So Hammer of Dawn, if you have new material coming up, definitely let me know like 30 days in advance next time, so that I can sufficiently prepare to give you the coverage you deserve. But yeah, that's Hammer of Dawn with Uzil. Then we have Hiemis with Yggdrasil out of New Mexico. Wouldn't have expected that location for that title. So that is very Scandinavian folklore. You've probably heard that word in a number of different other Scandinavian projects because it is deeply tied into their folk tales. I believe it's a place? I should know this by now, but my memory storage is not what it used to be. And Midgard is like the afterlife, if I recall. Got like an ambient opening here, basically. It's kind of cool. Get into the meat of this. Oh, we're gonna go... Okay. For those who congregate in darkness. So we may be going for a more... Okay, so this is like a dark folk, ambient kind of project. I've covered a few of those on here. I am a huge fan of... God, they dropped an album this year. Lady wears the big like antlers with her eyes covered. Help me out here, people. I love this project, but you all know me. As soon as the camera comes on, I cannot remember anything for shit unless I write it down. I think it starts with that H. Well, anyways, I do like stuff like this. It's a good palate cleanser. Very chill, good like working music. Thinking music kind of vibe. Very deliberate drive forward. Also got that kind of like the Northman soundtrack element to it. Yeah, I like it. Very chill. Something that's hard to like fully sample on a segment like this. Another group too that sent me the download, so I always really appreciate that. Y'all, if you're sending me music, it definitely doesn't hurt to just shoot me the download code through Bandcamp, because then it ends up in my collection too, and anyone who's browsing my collection is apt to come across it. So, yeah, cool stuff. I like it. Definitely very different from a lot of the other stuff that we're listening to today, but good thing to have on between the mayhem and madness. And I do love me some hand drums. So that is Hiemis with Yggdrasil. Then we have Mare Infinitum with Cryosleep, which was also sent to me for download. Appreciate that once again. Russian Federation. Hope y'all are doing okay over there and in Ukraine. That whole area. Just praying for your safety. If you're still located over there. Covered Mare Infinitum before, I believe. Should be a familiar name to those watching. Loving this opening. I forget what the name of that instrument is. Going for... Love those vocals too. Very deep. Kind of septic, fleshy, just deep vocals. But yeah, atmospheric doom metal. Another doom project that I can appreciate due to that atmospheric elements and the incorporation of kind of progression and hooks, as you can see, build into some other elements instead of just repeating ad nauseum. Very dramatic. These vocals are like pristine too. Wonderful. Very kind of Egyptian kind of melody sounding there. Hats off always. I feel like more and more I will, maybe over time, love the symphonic intro too, more and more over time become a doom metal fan. Thanks to bands like this who are exposing me to the stuff that I really enjoy. Alongside stuff like Rise to the Sky, which we've covered a number of releases of theirs too. Love the piano. You could hear those like elements that bands like Insomnium have kind of lifted from doom like this too into their own respective genres. Big wailing guitars too. Oof. Very Danny Elfman-esque kind of strings here, too. Beautiful. Lots of texturing, lots of effort into the production. Good variety of different vocals. Love that piano. That was just beautiful. And like I said, again, these vocals are pristine. I come across a lot of these bands where the vocals are pretty subpar, but this is like not only nailing every note, but the way that they've composed the melodies for them. This is a very like epica sounding moment here too. Yeah, this is great. Good doom metal, y'all. Doom metal for people who may not normally like doom metal. That's one of my favorite kind of niches to live within. Fantastic. And I think a sufficiently grand note to end on today. So that is Mayor Infinitum with Cryosleep. Y'all, thank you for another fantastic year on the channel. Like I said, this will probably be the last video of the year, so be sure to check out this playlist for more of these. Here's my playlist of all my like best of the month lists, and thank you again. Down in the comments, let me know what were your favorite moments of 2022, and I will see you in 2023.